got the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You got a right to an attorney prior to and during any question. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. Do you understand your rights?
When the wolf is at your door, you running's over, that's for sure. He already knows all about you. Cut you down, no matter by you. Now you better walk the line. Real life, real
Warning, this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, may contain descriptions of acts of violence or that of a sexual nature and should be for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. I do not get the facts of these cases off of the internet or from some television show. The facts I'm retelling you were presented to me by the victims of the crimes or the perpetrators who committed the crimes against the victims. My descriptions of the crime scenes, what I saw with my own two eyes. If you're going to get offended, please turn this podcast off now. Thank you. Hey, Miss Barbara. It's Woody. How are you?
Hi, we're okay. How are you?
Good. We got so much snow, I don't know what to do. It's crazy. I mean, like,
Well, that's the good thing about Florida. At least we don't have any snow yet.
yeah, but we haven't, I don't think in my lifetime it's never snowed this much. I mean, it's like, it's got to be 10 inches deep. It's crazy. But
Kidding?
and we're under curfew too. They shut down.
Oh gosh.
But hey, I'm calling you, as you know, hashtag Justice for Hailey. You know, you are.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you.
You're the drive behind why we're doing it, and you're all the lifers. You can see it growing every week. The more as it goes along, the more pissed off people get, right, and rightfully so, right?
They're awesome. The lifers are awesome, and I just want to thank everybody for dedicating their time and help to her case.
Yeah, appreciate it, and I know you're very active, and Tyler and Stella are active, and all the posts and everything, and that means a lot. It shows people, hey, this is not just another story. This is our loved one, right? And we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're going to back it up until the end. So it's huge, and I know they have adopted Hailey in this call. So, but what I want to ask you is, and they've heard a lot of things on the podcast thus far, but the last several episodes have been the Jailhouse visits with Brooks, if you will, and of course you did those knowing that it was going to be recorded. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I guess I had called and talked to the officer, and they said that to see what was going on with the investigation, they said that he was not talking to the police anymore. And so Stella and I decided that, if it was recorded, if we were sure it was recorded, we would go try to see if he would talk to us.
And I've said it however many times on the podcast. I can't believe y'all sat there with such a straight face and talk to him, and you definitely win the Academy Awards, or should have won Academy Awards for that. That was just unbelievable, and to the point where some lifers were like, "Or did they not, not believe him because y'all were being so nice?" And then,
well, I mean, if we knew him and how he is, so we knew that if we didn't pretend like we believed him, that he wouldn't talk to us.
Right. Well, he did that. And then why did y'all stop doing the Jailhouse visits?
He stopped coming to them.
Really?
which we kind of expected that once. That's why we went. It was hard because it was right after it happened,
Right.
but we knew that once he got a lawyer, he probably wouldn't talk to us anymore either.
So y'all went
So
back, and he was like, "Not coming out."
yeah, he never showed. Yeah, he wouldn't come to the phone.
Wow, wow. And okay, and so during this time, and these in time sequence were within a couple of weeks of her actually being murdered and her funeral, beginning of January, etc. But what
Yeah.
happens in the investigation next?
As far as I remember, that's kind of when it seems like that's when the lead detective kind of stopped calling me back as much and wouldn't, communicate as much. And we started getting really frustrated with them at that point.
Do you remember
Um,
the lead detective's name?
Detective Nudie.
Okay, right. So you're calling him, and believe me, I know she's done this because she's done stuff since this podcast has gotten started. With, we won't say who yet because we're going to play that later on. So
Right.
when Miss Barbara's on you, she's on you, right? But not rightfully so. I mean, you know what happened to Haley, and I mean,
Yeah.
but didn't he basically he told y'all at your house that day that they were working as a homicide?
Well, when they came, in the initial, he wouldn't say either way, and we told him then the night that he told us that it happened, we knew immediately that he had killed her. There was not a doubt. But that detective in general, he was never one of the ones to say that he believed it was a homicide. He would, very much. And he even at one point in court said that he initially was investigating it as a suicide, which really, really, really made me mad.
Yeah, and I understand that, but they are going to investigate it as a suicide till they can prove otherwise. So let's back to it. They came to your house, and you're trying to get contact information, but you did talk to them at some point and say, "Hey, going to the jail, maybe we can get him to say something," or you knew they were monitoring those tapes.
Right. Well, I called the jail first, and then I called him and told him that, I asked him if they would be recorded, and they were real careful, and I'm sure for legal reasons they wouldn't tell us anything to say, or if we should, or if we shouldn't,
Right.
or anything like that. And, they wouldn't help us in any way in that sense. And I think that's for legal purposes, and I understood that, but they did confirm that the calls would be recorded.
Right.
So
Well, the thing was, I mean, it was just genius because until he shut up or his lawyer said, "Hey, you know what? You're really not playing them like you think you are." But every phone call was different. He changed the story in every single one of them,
I know.
and I think that's very important because the one thing that never changes is the truth. I mean, the
Yeah.
it. Uh,
It,
Guess we should get it. Go ahead and mention this right now while I have you. Tell me how you found out what happened during the day, or not the fights, not that night. What happened during that day? Because his whole thing now he changed it a couple times. He said they went to get ice water together once, and then he changed it to Hailey went to get some liquor, and then he changed it to no, we didn't go anywhere and we didn't do anything. Tell the lifers what where they went that day that we know we can verify, and I'll get that information that out of the file to put it on there and back it up, and where they went and what happened.
so right after they told us, we contacted one of their best friends, Mazda,
Mm-hmm.
um, to let him know and find out, I guess, about anything we needed to know. So
Hey, what did Mazda say when you called?
he freaked out. Um, and came. He said, "I'll be right over," and so he came straight over from work, which I didn't even know Mazda's number, and I don't remember how I even got it. But his mom. Oh, his mom. Yeah, I did call her shop.
Hey, Stella.
So
Yeah.
hi.
Hey, y'all. Stella's on too. I'm sorry, sweetie. I
Yeah,
Tyler's
we're
there
all
too.
here.
Yeah.
I'm here
Hey,
too.
thank
Yeah.
y'all so much for being so active on all the posts and everything. It just shows people that you truly, truly care. I mean, a lot of people
There.
want this done, and they're not fighting like y'all are fighting. So I want to say thank you for that.
No, thank you. But so we called Mazda, and Mazda came right over. And Hailey loved him, and we trusted him. But anyway, he came over, and so was telling us basically that he had been with them the day before. They had gone out to eat and had
When you say the day before, you mean the day of her murder,
of her murder. Yes.
right?
Yeah. By the time we got him over it, it was the day after.
Right, right. So when he comes over, to clarify, he is speaking specifically about what happened that day.
But that day,
All right.
yes. And so he said Brooks didn't seem like he was drunk or anything. But they had gone to a little bar, and they were going to have a couple drinks and eat.
And what was the name of the bar?
Anchor Bar
Okay.
in Marriott.
So they go to the Anchor Bar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere in any of his stuff, any of his statements or anything, does he mention anything about the Anchor Bar. In fact, he does the exact opposite. So
Exactly. We
I
knew the
think,
whole time. So
and then we'll get the details of that in just a sec, but I think the only reason you do that is because you don't want them to go find out what happened, right? To further prove that something was wrong that day. But I'll be quiet. You go ahead. They go to the Anchor Bar to get something to eat and drink and what have you.
so they're out, and Brooks ordered, I guess they ordered drinks, and Brooks ordered his own drinks, and he had two drinks according to Mazda, and he just became ridiculously drunk. He was belligerent. He was pushing tables over.
Yeah.
He was cussing. He was laying his head down on the table like he was going to sleep. And
Yeah.
so
You know what? Let me interrupt you again, Barbara, and I'm going to do it a lot. But
that's fine.
if like the patron and the convicts that could see the actual videos, the first ones we played when they brought him to the police department and put him in the room. Of course, they played him and he joked with him or whatever for however long. But after they told him and he feigned the surprise or whatever, it's the same thing he did, shoving the tables and
Right.
laying his head on the table and playing the drums and punching the wall and all that stupid shit. But he's doing this inside the Anchor Bar, and it's earlier in the day.
Right. It's probably about that was probably about maybe 7:30, I think.
Like,
So anyway, Mazda and Hailey are embarrassed, so they get the food and the tab, and they're leaving. And Hailey had to help, try to get him out. He didn't want to leave. He was, and so I guess once he got out and Mazda got out, Hailey was informed that they were kicked out of the bar,
yeah,
which embarrassed her. And so she and Mazda were really aggravated at him, mad at him.
right.
And so Mazda took them home.
And I don't imagine it's that many people, the day after Christmas at a bar anyway, but you're showing your ass to such a point that basically they say, hey, don't come back. We don't want your money.
Yeah, well, it was a food, like, they serve food as well, so there were kids there. And Hailey was really embarrassed because, he was acting that way in front of kids and stuff. And so
Yeah.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? I know Sydney was, and if you're a woman, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living rent-free in our environment right now, found in our food, water, and even in our skincare products. These disruptors can wreak havoc on our hormones. Believe me, before Hormone Harmony, I watched Cindy suffer. Not anymore. Hormone Harmony's formula, made only with herbal ingredients, have reduced Cindy's hormonal symptoms, and it helps women of all ages. Then there are the natural hormonal changes our bodies face, such as menopause. While these processes are part of life, they don't have to be uncomfortable. The good news is that you don't have to suffer through it any longer. Hormone Harmony contains science-backed herbal extracts known as adaptogens, designed to help the body cope with stressors, including those chaotic hormonal fluctuations that can disrupt your daily life. Whether it's PMS symptoms like irritability and cravings, or menopause symptoms such as hot flashes and night sweats, Hormone Harmony can help with it all. Happy Mammoth, the creator of Hormone Harmony, is dedicated to improving women's lives by using only high-quality science-backed ingredients. They make no compromises on quality, ensuring that you receive the best support possible. This isn't just a supplement, it has become a phenomenon. Women are talking about it everywhere, with a bottle of Hormone Harmony sold every 24 seconds. And the most important benefit, women express feeling like themselves again. A sentiment echoed in over 30,000 positive reviews. For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com. Don't forget to use the code RLRC for 15% off today. You want to set your child up for success? Is your child struggling with a specific subject, or do they need a challenge to keep them engaged? IXL Learning is an online learning program that enriches your homeschool curriculum. It offers practice in math, English, language arts, science, and social studies, and adapts to each child, meeting them at their personal level. As a homeschool parent, I can tell you that IXL has been life-saving for my son, WL. He uses IXL every day, and it allows me to tailor his learning experience based on his specific skills, not just his grade level. If he needs support, IXL finds his current level and helps him build up to where he needs to be. And in areas where he's advanced, IXL propels him forward without any setbacks. What I love most is that IXL uses visuals in its questions and lessons, which really helps WL learn math and science better since he is a visual learner. The interactive practice problems and educational games make learning fun and engaging. With IXL, school is a positive, fun experience. WL enjoys earning awards in the educational games. IXL is trusted by 15 million students worldwide and has proven to improve in performance in over 75 scientific research studies. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. Real Life, Real Crime listeners can receive an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/today. Visit IXL.com/today to access the most effective learning program at the best price.
So they kick him out, and that both of them were upset with him, and then they went back to the apartment.
Right. Mazda took them back he had been driving them, so he took them back to the apartment. He said that Hailey tried several times to get him to come up and play games and stuff, video games or whatever, and he would not come up.
Yeah.
He was done with it. And there'll be more about that later, but
Right. Okay, so and y'all, yes, we're telling it we're telling it the way it needs to be told. And I've been telling you the whole time that we absolutely can prove for a fact that he's just full of shit about, oh no, we didn't go anywhere that day. We just watched videos on our phone. And then it was, yeah, they went for ice water, but you know what, your water wasn't working right. Or then later on he took a shower.
Yeah.
Everything's a fucking lie. And then it was Hailey went to go get liquor, and I didn't really want to go with her, and whatever. And he just lied, changed the stories. But back to the Anchor Bar, and we might as well go ahead and touch on this now. Do you know if law enforcement ever went to the Anchor Bar to take witness statements. 2, I already know the answer to this week. 2, get the video, if there's surveillance video, so they can see what clothes he was wearing to see if he changed after she was shot or anything like that.
Well, they did go at some point, but it was I don't know, more than a week later, and they had already erased, I guess recorded over
Right.
the video, which I really don't understand why they waited.
They shouldn't have waited. The thing on those videos that's natural is it keeps their calls down. They just look
Right,
over them.
right.
Right? But then, what about the thing? They got statements saying that he's acting
Yeah.
an ass.
Yes, they got statements. The waitress, I guess, remembered them, and of course, and the I think the bartender, I'm not sure, I can't remember if he said the bartender too, but he said the waitress did remember them.
And this the detective, what's his name, telling you that?
I believe it was Detective Nudie that told me that. Yes.
Okay. All right. And then so now you're after the fact, after the visit, and you're really not getting a response, phone call wise, everything like that. Hey, let me digress for a second. Let's go back to, and I know it's hard to talk about everything, but her funeral was held when her services were held while he was locked up in between y'all's visits, right?
Right.
And it did. At what point? And this is very important. Well, I know when, obviously, but it did. At what point did they tell y'all anything about an autopsy?
Uh, they told us. I believe it was. Gosh, that's hard to remember when they told us. I think it was around the time of the service, Stella. Before or after? When did they tell us about the autopsy? It may have been after. I'm not
Do
sure.
you remember what they said, if anything, other than we're doing an autopsy?
In the beginning, I think they had it listed as a suicide.
No.
No.
We're gonna beat that out, Sam. The no, do you remember them saying, "Hey, we're gonna take her for an autopsy," and why we're taking her for an autopsy?
Oh, no, they didn't ever tell us why. They did, tell us that they were taking us out because I just wanted to go sit with her. I just needed to sit with her. And they wouldn't let me because I guess it took a little bit for the autopsy, and so
Yeah.
and they really wouldn't tell us much about the autopsy except that they were doing an autopsy.
Right. And that's the same detective telling you all this.
Um, I believe it was him. I believe Nudie told me, and then I also called um the coroner or the medical examiner's office.
Right. And didn't you tell me this detective was pretty much a rookie?
Oh yeah, well, he's very new to homicide, and according to, I think it was Mazda's, he told him that he had been fast tracked to the job.
Okay.
And partly because he wouldn't communicate a lot with us, and partly because I just didn't feel like they were doing what they needed to do when they should do it. They didn't, interview people immediately, and just there was a lot that I felt like they did wrong. And I called the police department and also the DA's office, and told them that I really wanted somebody else on her case, at least with him, if not altogether over
Right.
it. But
And he should have been, I mean, they should be working partners anyway. And
right,
generally the young guy gets an older partner. Well, obviously maybe they were too busy, I guess. I don't know. No.
yeah.
But so you called him and you said that, and what was the response that you got?
I know that they had faith in him, that he was doing everything he was supposed to do.
Okay. And do you remember who you talked to? It's okay if you don't, but
No, several times I talked to Stephanie Green, who is in the DA's office, the prosecutor in his case.
okay.
And I know that
That's the
I
blonde head.
talked his,
I'm sorry.
pardon?
That's the
No,
blonde headed lady.
yes, yes.
All right.
And then several times I talked to his supervisor as well, and I have his name. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I do have it.
We have it, and we're going to be playing
Yeah.
parts of those recordings that y'all made coming up.
Okay.
I want to make it clear for everybody that's out there. Each state is different, but Georgia is a 1% party state, meaning that as long as one person that is a party of the conversation consents to it being recorded, they don't have to tell the other person. You were aware of that law, correct, Ms. Barber?
Yes, yes.
And so it's just like the jailhouse visits. Well, that's one thing. But what we're going to get into next is specifically y'all going in there and recording the law enforcement and everything that they said to you, right?
Right.
And it's crazy. And it's long. I think it's like 90 minutes or so. So we'll probably do it in two parts. And then maybe have another phone call after we listen to the first part. And maybe not. I don't know how it'll work out yet. But then, but it's important, right? It's important. It shows their attitude, meaning what they said they were going to do, what they said they thought it was, and how they were going to pursue it and everything. I don't want to give it away, but the coup de grace at the very end of it, like on the ice and on the cake, is the head honcho bringing y'all down the elevator and telling you on the elevator, "We gonna get him, we gonna get him," right? And Stella and Tyler, y'all have anything you want to say or?
I just feel like they did a pretty shitty job and they really could have done better. The detectives, the DA, Cindy, everybody just could have done better at their job.
Can you tell me just some different ideas that are in your head about what they did poorly?
A lot of times Cindy would straight up just lie about things and not really help us.
And Cindy is
Victims advocate.
okay. So y'all, anytime you're a family member of victim of violent crime, especially in homicide, your district attorney's office will sign you a victim's advocate, and they are responsible for walking you through a process that generally no one knows anything about, right? And so this lady Cindy was y'all's victim's advocate, and we are going to get way up into that too, Stella, and get to stuff that happened recently since we've been doing this. And I understand y'all have had some phone calls and found out some information, and your mama sent me the recording of that, and holy smokes, it was condescending to say the least. But we'll burn that bridge when we come to it. But Stella, tell me the jailhouse interviews. What's your impression?
The jailhouse interviews, I can't tell if he's trying to like play the insanity card or he really is just so stupid, but nothing he says makes sense, and it's so obvious to tell that we already know that he did it, and I don't understand how he didn't know that.
Yeah.
I can't tell if he's just stupid or if this is like an act.
I almost feel like he was like, I guess trying to come up with a story, like each time he added things, and
he did.
And like
he did.
Yeah, like he knew they were recording it because he said he did.
That's right. And he said, "Oh, y'all know they record these things." And so, but he tried to say that Stella, you would have to be crazy not to wonder if he was crazy, right? Except for little things like that. You're smart enough to try to say it in code. By the way, motherfuckers, they're recording this, and all the other little things. But how he changes it? I'll give you an example. From in the beginning, Stella does. I mean, so I was going to say your name. Hailey doesn't know anything about the shotgun. To later on, the last one is, oh yeah, well, she was going to commit suicide with a shotgun before, and I had to stop her from taking it in another room. Blah blah blah. Motherfucker, why didn't you say that in the beginning?
Exactly.
Because you had been laying up in your jail cell and thinking, holy fuck, I'm about to go down for murder, in which he should be, and but every time it was something different.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Stella, I cut you off.
No, you're fine.
What else? I mean, I looked at your face. Of course, it was your mom was doing what she had to do, but I look at your face over and over again in those videos, and you're like, you grab the phone for your mom for a second and say what you had to say, and you just listened to like you didn't want to show disgust, and you almost like drop the phone back to your mom. And,
Yeah.
you were like, motherfucker, if I could get through that window, they'd be working a case on me. So I don't know, but is there any Stella and Tyler too? Yeah,
Lowe's knows how to help make your Super Bowl 59 party a touchdown. Let us help you prep your home to host with top brands like Charbroil, Blackstone, and LG, so you can be the MVP of game day. Plus, use the Lowe's app to find what you need for a seamless shopping run. Or huddle up with our Lowe's Red Vest associates to help make all your game time hosting decisions.
where can you remember anything about like the phone calls to the detectives or anything that stands out when they start not responding to your calls, or if they called you and they said, hey, we're doing this, we're not doing that, or anything?
What I want to add is during one of the times where we were speaking to them, I had asked about something, and I forget exactly how it went, but they had said, well, if we focus on everything we've done wrong, that won't get us anywhere. Everybody makes mistakes. They said something like that.
Yeah, and that's going to be in one of the recordings that we're going to be playing next, right, Tyler? Y'all, that's Tyler talking, and the I call it that too, and I'm like, holy shit! I mean, but the let's go back to it. I'm going to talk about a couple things that he changed, and this is going a lot longer than I intended, but that he changed. And I mean, he changed so much from the very beginning, from whether it's firefighters to the cops to y'all and what have you. But the simple things like what he was wearing at Anchor Bar, because now if they get kicked out around 7:30, whatever it is, Mazda brings them home. We know they had a big ass fight around 8 something, to the point where the apartment manager goes over and says, hey, if you don't quit, I'm calling the cops, right? Don't do y'all know if they ever asked her, was that the same shirt he was wearing when she confronted him?
I'm sure they never asked.
Right.
But we could try to ask her now, but I'm sure she would not remember. It's been so.
Yeah, it's well, you know what? If we get what we want, they're going to have to go back and do some work regardless, and they can go back and ask her. But I mean, it makes common sense. And I'm not to be gory, but there's no way that happened to Hailey and he didn't get what we call blowback on him. Period. And that's that little shirt. First he said he went to change pants, then he went to change his sweatshirt. Then another time I was changing this. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you good?
I feel like we have the shirt that he was wearing. We have a sweatshirt that is covered in blood.
Really?
And I don't know if maybe it happened on top of it, or if he was wearing it, or.
Okay. Well, so here's the deal on that. And again, I think Barbie talked about it one time. It's the chain of custody will kind of be screwed on it, but not really. But try to keep it in a paper bag and not a plastic bag, because plastic will make the blood mold the DNA. or paper breeze and it doesn't care. Because listen, if that's what he was wearing when the apartment manager talked to him, or if that's what he was wearing at the Anchor Bar, people would still be able to remember that. I mean, this is not like something. This is not like you're a waitress and this is somebody you waited on 2 years ago that you're going to forget. And this person, evidently at one point was being investigated for a murder he committed when he left your restaurant or the apartment manager. And they may not remember, but they may. But the thing being is, if it's Hailey's DNA on if it's, then lack of a better word, if it's brain matter and blood on that shirt, and that's not the shirt they pulled him out of the apartment in, and then okay, that shows he changed after the gunshot, right?
Yeah,
Right.
because I have a question. I know that it happened on the couch.
Uh-huh.
Was there? I saw the big like puddle of blood, but was there clothes that it looks like they dragged out of the puddle?
No, and I'll just be brutally honest with you. What was in the puddle was actually her brain, and then they had to take that for evidence. That it was just that's it, and I mean it was her whole brain, and there's no way. That's the reason I'm saying that. It's not to be gory, but there's first of all, she didn't suffer. I mean, it's horrible, and that's me trying to comfort y'all. But when from the autopsy photos and all that stuff, I mean, it was instant. There's no way anybody gets up and moves across the room after what she sustained. No way. I mean, it's physically impossible. You're not there. And what was there that was expelled from her body, there's no way she moved herself. She just didn't do it. And so the sweatshirt y'all have, it's a sweatshirt, right?
Yeah, it's like a bright blue like hoodie kind of.
Do you where'd you get it from?
They just gave it to us in the evidence box.
with the pellets that came from her head.
Yeah, why they gave us
I don't know why they gave us
all
that.
their evidence if they're gonna planning on trying to try him for murder, I don't know.
And it had the pellets in it.
In her hair.
And the hair she had in her hand.
But you see, they didn't take that off of him in the jail. That means they had to take that from the scene after the fact and after he's already gone. And it begs to the question is, where did they get it from? Was it in the bedroom? Did he go in there and change? If he did that, you know what? I need to go back and look on the evidence.
Yeah, there was blood. There was blood on the bed because they had to take the whole bed out when we got in there. And I don't know why they would have done that unless there was,
Yeah, I believe they found blood in the bedroom.
And why would there be blood in the bedroom? He's sitting down when he goes downstairs, begs for the guy to come upstairs and calls 911. He's sitting there through the 911 call, and it's until they pull him out of the apartment. And the whole time, he is adamant that she just tripped and fell. He went in the room to change clothes. Well, you didn't go in the room and change clothes in any of your statements after you started holding her, right? So there should be no reason for there to be any part of her hair or skull or massive amount of blood. I might understand you cut your leg shaving or something, but any part of her body matter like that inside of the bedroom. Why? And if you just came out and you just changed clothes and you came out and you found her on the floor like that, which didn't happen, physically impossible. You can't. I mean, you can't make that up. And
there's no way that happened.
Somebody had to have moved her.
And then why would you run back in the bedroom and then in the sink and like everywhere?
Exactly, and it goes to my point of the neighbor hearing the loud thud. First of all, I would tell you right now, up until this point, what I think happened, I think they were absolutely out he got out of the box. They got kicked out of the bar. They go home. Mazda doesn't go, whatever. Mazda exits the scene. Then they get into the big ass argument. The apartment manager comes over, says, "I'm going to call the cops." And then I think Hailey kicked him out. And that's when he's downstairs sitting on the staircase, and Buck comes by, and he tells Buck's like, "Hey, you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine. She just kicked me out. Blah blah blah." Well, it's when, you know what, it was cold AF, right? And that would fit with him wearing that hoodie, because he was wearing the hoodie when they detained him and arrested him. He didn't have shoes on. He had on that short sleeve Champion, almost like a t-shirt. And when they got there, that's what he had on. So he's outside, it's cold, right? He talks to Buck, and then I think at some point he was like, "You know what, fuck this. I'm going to go back in there." And maybe he's going to try to make it right. I don't know. But I think that's when he went back in there, or maybe he went back in there just to kill her. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I believe when he went back inside, and that would have been around the 10 o'clock hour, you know, if that other happened at 8:30, then the neighbor hears the loud noise, and then it's 10 to 15 minutes or more before he comes downstairs, and he's running and screaming. And the other thing is, why do you go downstairs? Why do you do that? Y'all, your statements the whole time that all you've done all day is play on your phones. Why can't you call 911 yourself? Right?
Exactly.
Because you're biding fucking time. Hypothetically, he shot her. Then he has an "oh fuck" moment, and he runs, and because he doesn't realize he's never killed anyone before. I assume that, especially at close range, that he's going to get all that. I hate to say shit. He's going to get all the blowback and everything on him, and he's like, "Holy fuck, they're going to know." And so he goes in there and changes. Doesn't call 911. Doesn't do
Even though he
that.
has that spare phone.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, according to his own statements, he had at least two phones, right? Hers and his, and that's all they done, right? Because their cable, whatever's turned off, and so change.
Well, those were in
Wait.
Austin's car.
Yeah, but and I understand that, but you go to the police booking videos, which Patreon Convicts can get, and they took a phone off. They did. I mean, I don't know what phone it was, but
He had a backup phone on him.
Okay, so he had a burner phone or whatever. But guess what? He still had it on him. He could have called the cops. You didn't. You don't have to run downstairs in a t-shirt and no shoes in 20-degree weather, banging on doors asking for help.
Right, especially 10 minutes after it happened, you'd think in 10 minutes you could put on some shoes.
Now let's talk about that. 10 minutes in the time frame of a witness. They said 10 to 15, and that could have easily been 10 to 30. Okay, the worst thing in the world is an eyewitness when it comes to time frame, because things will happen in slow motion after. You know, you heard the shot whenever you heard the shot, but then how many times in your life you're going to have somebody banging on your door saying, "Call 911. My fiance fell. She's having a seizure," right? Like that. Then everything, your adrenaline kicks in, and all that stuff kicks in. And then you go upstairs and you witness that. You had to see what you saw. And so it was at least 10 minutes. We know that by their own statement. That'll hold up in a court of law. But I would bet you it was more. I bet it was 15 or 20.
I have a feeling it would have been like, because if no one heard it in the time frame that it happened, I don't understand. Like, I just think that it happened a little later, like whether it was like 20 or 30. I don't think that it happened in 10 to 15. I think that he spent time in there and tried to think of what he could do.
I don't know, freaked out or whatever, and
Tried to clean himself up and
thought he was going to move her body and realized it was too much.
exactly.
Correct. And once the shot has been fired, and then you're like, "Oh fuck, truck and move her out. There's no reason to move her body from where it was. If it was a suicide, which you'll never make me believe, if it was a suicide, why pick her up, carry her across the room, and have a shotgun underneath? Why?
I know. I think he was literally just trying to find a way to cover it up, and slowly, after like 30 minutes of like, I'm almost positive he washed his hands. I saw blood in the bathroom. I know he probably washed his hands because there was like nothing on them.
Right.
I know he definitely probably washed his face and his like arms, and probably changed his clothes, of course.
Well, I mean,
But
you got the shirt, you got the hooded sweatshirt, and I would be curious to see. I mean, they're gonna have to do their job at some point if that's the shirt he was actually wearing when he was outside.
Now, I think they said they found the remotes in the sink too.
yeah, remotes in the sink for some fucking reason.
Everything in her general vicinity would have been covered in blood. I mean,
Yeah.
it goes forward and it goes backwards, and that's just for lack of a better
But
description.
if somebody you love hurts themselves, the first thing you're going to do is try to get help.
Yeah, not run to go put the remotes in the sink and like
Yeah.
change your clothes and lay on the bed for a second and
Yeah,
think up a storm. I don't.
and we all totally agree upon that. And I think not just being biased, but before y'all, and I'm talking to the listeners, y'all, there's so much more to this. And this is an impromptu call with Miss Barbara and Stella and Tyler. And I just wanted to start talking some before we get into the next meat of what's coming, which is the investigation or lack thereof, or what have you. But I mean, if you took this, I mean, y'all take yourselves out of the question. Let's say it wasn't Hailey. It's you're just the downstairs neighbor and you heard the story on the podcast. You don't know anything about it or whatever. But what if you were on a grand jury? The DA does their job. They bring it to the grand jury and says, "Okay, this is what we have. This is everything this dude said. It's done line by line, right? This is everything the family said. This is what we've been able to disprove. He's lied about this, and that, and another. And this is what the evidence says, right? That her body's made. This is physically impossible, et cetera, et cetera. What would you do if they asked you to indict him at this point without knowing anything else?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's guilty.
Yeah, I mean, at least
Somebody had to have moved her body.
I know
right.
No matter what, you're lying, and that's enough to cause you suspicion. Like.
And at this point, the first step in the process is getting the indictment, right? And they are there. He's the only one there with her, and everything he's done, everything he said. And look, even if he was, and everything I saw, he wasn't foobarred. And everything I saw, even if he was, it's still murder.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's any logical person, and we're not done yet. We're just really getting into it. But any logical person at this point, and we're going to prove to you that law enforcement thought the same thing, and until for the reason that's really going to piss everybody off when we tell it to them, they had to take a different track. But everyone would return a true bill of indictment, and send this to trial, right? That's what we want. I think that's what's going to happen because the world's going to know it, and then they're going to be pissed off. And when we do the call to action, and we'll explain that later on. I mean, why you are in public office? Why wouldn't you just take it? This is all the family wants. Take it to the grand jury. Let them decide. They would be a representative of who would be sitting on the jury in the trial, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let them decide. And if they come back with no bill, so be it. Right? But there's no way. No way. They're not.
No, I don't. Yeah, I mean, anybody that's ever, and I don't try to embellish or anything, but anybody I've just told just the basic facts.
Yeah.
The first question is always, why is he not in for murder?
That is absolutely correct. And it's so much. It is so much to the story. As a cop, you're listening, or investigator, you're listening for the little changes, the little things, right? And that they played it like that for the first hour or whatever in the interrogation room. And finally, you're like, fuck it, he's not giving us anything else. We've got to confront him and see how he reacts. We all know what he did. But then you go out and you take what he told you, and you go out and you either prove his statement or disprove it. I don't think they did any of that. But
no, I have a question that has always bothered me, and since I've seen it, and I know you'll know. When he says, "Give me a lie detector test," why wouldn't they do that?
I wish I had $1 for every person that said that. Oh, give me a lie detector test, and they're guilty as AF, right? The only two kinds of people that would take my test: the ones that take it because they can pass it, and the ones who say, "Give me one," because they think to do otherwise would make them look guilty. What you did, you didn't hear him buck when they did gunshot residue tests. You know why? Because he washed his hands, and he knew he washed them. Right?
Oh yeah, and before the residue test, he's rubbing his hands constantly.
Yes.
And like licking his fingers and stuff.
But then after the test, he doesn't do it at all.
Right, absolutely, and there's a lot of little things like that. How about, and we might leave it with this unless y'all have something else. How about him sitting in that room, and I guess that was like their promise ring that he had or whatever, and he's dropping it on the table like a top, playing with it. Do y'all?
Yeah.
And I mean, bruh,
that was the
wedding. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That was the wedding band she gave him.
And there you go. And he's dropping it and spinning it like a top.
Spinning it like a fucking toy.
And she had been dead in a couple hours. I think that Brooks Cleary is a hell of a lot smarter than he lets on. I really do. And especially as far as when it comes to playing people. And obviously he's not Einstein, but I think his people skills are a whole lot more.
I cannot agree.
Yeah, he's really good at manipulating people. Exactly. He did it to Hailey, and Hailey she was a smart girl, but he was really good at manipulating her.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And I believe that with all my heart. So anyway, all right. Well, you know what? I'll probably call y'all back again next week. This has been a great conversation. Do y'all have anything you want to add?
I don't think so right now.
Thank you.
Don't go.
Yeah, well, thank the lifers, because I know y'all do it anyway, and that's what it comes down to, the nut cutting, if you will. That's what we're going to need. We need every person.
It's just an awesome community. Like, I really thank everybody for their I guess dedication to her case, because we needed help, and they came in full force with you. Yeah, well, they are 100% hashtag justice for Hailey, and the large percentage of that is how y'all are interacting with them also, right? And so thank you for that, and thank you for letting us fight this fight with you. Okay? Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right, we love y'all. Y'all be good, and I'm going to call you real soon, okay?
Love y'all too.
We love y'all.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to and during any question. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. Do you understand your rights?
When the wolf is at your door.